Baker Mayfield. He reminds me of a shorter version of Brett Favre. He can throw it. He's very confident, and he's not afraid whatsoever.
Another guy that isn't getting nearly as much attention as I believe he should be is Florida international receiver T.Y. Hilton. 6 returns over his career, combining kick and punt returns for touchdowns.
He has the mindset, and he has the intelligence, and he understands the offense to a T. Kirk's our quarterback. We could have done a deal right then and got it for long term and been a slam dunk.
Sam is a good football player. The problem is he's not a great football player, and that's so we're bringing so much attention to a guy that, frankly, is a day 3 prospect.
And now, the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, featuring 2-time NFL General Manager Scot McCloughan and NFLDraftScout.com Senior Analyst Rob Rang.
Hi, and welcome to the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, also known as the ISP. I'm your host, Rob Rang, and in just a second, you're going to hear from the real star of the program, former NFL General Manager and current scouting consultant to multiple NFL teams, Scot McCloughan, who has agreed to join me here each week to break down the biggest names and games in college and pro football with an eye always towards the NFL draft. Scott, I wanted to start off this week on a college football note. Last week, we talked a lot about the real surprises of the early NFL season, with some of the positive being Patrick Mahomes and the Cleveland Browns improvements, and some of the negatives, unfortunately, being Eli Manning's disappointing play, the Falcons' shocking 2-4 record so far. So with the regular season in college football now at about the halfway point, let's take a look at some of the surprises there first. Are there any players or teams that have really jumped out to you as big risers or fallers so far?
Well, just from the standpoint of risers, it's been an incredible college football season so far. Of course, there's a lot of football left, but teams like Notre Dame, I think are playing really well. You know, they put the quarterback in there who wasn't started to begin the season, and all of a sudden he's lighting it up. Very impressive. I think LSU has done a great job. I know they lost the Florida game, but they're scary because that defense is so strong, and they're going to be in the battle, and depending on how the quarterback ends up playing out the rest of the way, they got some tough games coming up, but they're playing well. But the one team there's 2 teams that really surprised me.
Okay.
Texas and NC State.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you.
They're rolling.
They really are. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Rob, but the thing about Texas, you're seeing a different mentality, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You're seeing toughness, you're seeing aggressiveness, you're seeing punch you in the mouth type football. And that hasn't been there for a while.
A long while in Texas, yeah.
No bad will on the coaches in the past. Charlie Strong, I really like. Mac Brown, great guy. But I'm just saying, they're playing real football now. Real football.
Well, I agree with you 100%. We're going to talk a little bit more about NC State a little bit later in the program. But, kind of focusing first on LSU. You mentioned LSU, and then I definitely want to talk about Texas. LSU, I thought that they would be a little bit better than maybe the kind of the consensus, because we know what Ed Orgeron does. We know what LSU is one of the most physical teams in the country, and I still believe that is the way that you can consistently win, because, it's the same old at LSU. When Les Miles was there, then, they still didn't, they struggled on offense. They haven't had quality quarterback play in so long. So, the fact that Burrow has come in there and given them a spark, in the passing game, but definitely as a runner, and then just that tried and true LSU defense. I think that they are. They haven't been a surprise to me. It's just almost been a little bit of confirmation of what I thought that they would be. Whereas Texas, I agree with you. I'm so impressed by the job that Tom Herman has done to be able to kind of turn around that program. And I kind of made the mistake of characterizing the Red River Showdown on Twitter as saying that it's the X's and O's, or being the Jimmies and Joes, kind of saying that I was really impressed with how Texas kind of game planned for Oklahoma and beat Oklahoma, a team that, of course, walked into that game being the higher rated team. But Texas forever. I'm not telling you anything you don't know here, Scott. Texas forever has got those 5-star players, but it's 5-star players who are now playing like legitimate 5-star players, not guys who are, maybe walked in with all of the hype, but aren't playing to that level of physicality, that level of commitment. But Tom Herman's got them playing. I mean, they really do look impressive to this point.
Yeah, no, with LSU, with Coach O, you know what you're getting. Ogeron, you know what you're getting. Yeah. Tough. In the defense, the secondary, especially in the pass rushers, they're always there. But they're a different team too from the standpoint of just winning. The thing of Texas is like I said earlier, it's impressive that because it's a great place to recruit. They get supposedly the best top 10 every year with recruiting, but they in the past they haven't stepped up.
Yeah.
They haven't. It's like prima donnas. It's like fake football players.
Yeah.
Now they're stepping up and they're playing Smash Mouth and they like it, and they want the 3rd and 3. They want the 4th and 1. That D line's getting after you. The linebackers getting after you, and they're playing good offense. I mean, there's a reason why they're winning. And to beat Oklahoma, in a neutral site, in a huge game, it's not easy. It's not easy because I really respect Oklahoma's team a lot. But Texas proved they could do it, and that really surprised me.
No, it surprised me as well. I mean, I think it's, we mentioned LSU and then how they were basically what we thought they were. And I'm happy to mention Notre Dame. I'm happy to mention Texas. I'd throw another team on there, Oregon, that I thought would be successful, but it's the way they're being successful that was so impressive to me. And this is with all three of these teams that we mentioned, again, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Texas, they're not playing like the prima donnas that I think that has been some of the reputation for those programs over the years. Oregon, of course, Chip Kelly and Mark Helfrich and, kind of this dink and dunk kind of spread offense. And that, I mean, now they are the biggest offensive line in all of college football. And the way they beat Washington was running right down their throat, including in the game-winning touchdown run. It's been impressive to see how they've kind of turned around that team. And then you said the same thing about Texas and Notre Dame. I mean, I didn't necessarily hear this from you in the past, but I've definitely heard it from other scouts in the past that if you're going to draft a Notre Dame player or a Texas player, then you better be ready to coddle those players because they've been told for so long that they're the second coming, And so to see that change in mentality, I think really is a testament to the coaching being done in both of those locations.
I totally agree. And I'd be this. If you and I talked about Notre Dame and Texas in the last 10 years, 15 years, I'd say the exact same thing, because it's almost like they feel like they're entitled, and of course you get the NFL, you can't feel that way. But no, it's changed. And that's the one thing you got to love about college football, the new staff coming in, new vision, new philosophy, all that stuff. They're all great programs. Don't get me wrong. They all have tons of money, great, setups, with the weight room, training room, practice facilities, all that. But it's unique this year to see the teams, that haven't done it in the past, that you always say, oh, Notre Dame's pretty good. Texas is pretty good. They got good players, but they can't win. Now they're winning. And it doesn't mean it's going to end out the whole season that way. But what's happened so far, the mindset of those organizations or programs, I guess we call them in college, is the fact that they're playing big man football. And that's what I respect a lot.
No, I agree with you 100% there. That's kind of been, it takes time to be able to play that big man football, as you said, and the fact that they've been able to do it as quickly as they have, especially in the case of Texas and Oregon. Brian Kelly's been at Notre Dame for a while, but we have seen a change in the level of intensity there since he took over that program. And again, the same thing at Texas and Oregon. So some very positive things. Is there anybody who is kind of more of a negative note? And I don't want to spend too much time on negative. We talked about Nebraska as a team that's disappointing, as Florida State. Is there any other teams or players that have jumped out at you that maybe you had some real high expectations that maybe have not performed up to what you had hoped to this point?
Well, you know what? There's still ranked teams, but yeah, I got a couple. Georgia, I'm disappointed in.
Yeah.
Just because of their run game and the quarterback's a good player.
Yeah.
But them dropping. Washington, who I thought would walk away, with the Pac-12, walk away with it, have struggled.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, you got that great running back. And
all those veterans along the offensive line. I mean,
yep, because they're the same team every year. They're going to pound you and pound you and pound you, and run for 250 to 300 yards a game, and then the one that I'm disappointed in probably the most is probably Penn State, because that quarterback's a really good player.
He is,
college player, because he can throw it, he can run it. He can make plays left and right, and they have talent around him too now. It's just, defense and offense, even special teams, but I'm not knocking those teams, because I just thought they'd be at this juncture of the season still rated up close to the top 10 or in the top 10, and now all four of them are struggling.
Yeah. No, they really are. And I mean, you basically took the words right out of my mouth with a lot of those teams. I think that from a national perspective, to not see University of Southern California up in the top 25 and being a superstar type of a team, I get that a little bit, because obviously you lose a quarterback like Sam Darnold, a young player as he is, and then you're going to go with a freshman quarterback position. There's going to be some growing pains. But at the same time, they've improved. I kind of called them out earlier in the week, a couple of weeks ago on an earlier ISP, show that we had. And since they've started rattling off some wins. I didn't think that they would be able to manhandle Colorado the way that they did. And they eked out a win against a better Washington State team than I thought that Washington State was. So, yeah, I think that's one of the teams that, from maybe a national perspective, they're a bit lower, but they've improved. And I just haven't seen it actually turn into wins in Nebraska. I've been disappointed with just the lack of consistency at Penn State and Georgia. I mean, I think those are two teams that, at least in my opinion, entering the year, I thought were absolutely in that top 10 consideration. And as you said, Scott, there's a lot of football to be played still. But still, I have been disappointed by the lack of improvement I've seen from a couple of those programs to this point.
No, I agree with you. And like first with SC, which is cool. It's not just a freshman; it's a true freshman.
Yep.
That's not easy. It's much easier to be a rookie in the NFL and play year one than be an 18-year-old, 19-year-old true freshman and play at a big university, So SC's done a really nice job. But, Georgia, it surprises me because they had three running backs that are all three good players. They had two last year. One won the first round, one won the second round.
Yep.
And for them not to be able to run the ball on a consistent basis and control a game just blows my mind, And again, I'm not taking shots at coaches, and I'm not talking X's and O's.
Yeah.
Just from an outsider watching it, it's just like, okay, why don't you just run the ball, run it, And but the game's changed a lot, as you're well aware. College ball, NFL ball, it's all about spreading it out and throwing, and putting up the big numbers, yardage numbers, points,
Yeah.
And they've kind of lost. In my opinion, being an old school guy, they've lost the ideal of how important it is to run the football, how important it is to dominate up front. Like you said with Oregon. Oregon's changed their entire system pretty much from the standpoint they want to go big. You know, with Chip, you know, they were, you know, you'd watch a tackle that's 6'4", 285 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, and was a good player in the system.
Yep.
But that doesn't translate over to the NFL whatsoever. You know, we got guys